Imagine standing alone, unarmed, with flashing red and blue lights painting your skin, and hate-filled eyes staring at you like you're a threat just for being black. Now imagine those same officers freezing mid-step when two massive, disciplined military dogs step forward at your command. This isn't just a story, it's a reckoning. You won't believe what happens next. So before we dive deep, hit that subscribe button right now for more powerful stories that challenge injustice and leave your jaw on the floor. It was supposed to be just another quiet morning for Captain Ayanna Brooks, a retired military canine handler. With over a decade of service overseas, decorated with medals for valor and obedience under fire, who now lived in a peaceful suburb just outside Atlanta with her two fiercely loyal Belgian Malinois, Shadow and Viper, both combat-trained and hyper-aware of threats to their handler. Ayanna, a calm yet commanding presence, was driving home from the local vet with Shadow and Viper in the back when a flashing squad car behind her signaled her to pull over. She hadn't done anything wrong, her speed was under limit. All lights were working, and her papers were up to date, but as a black woman in a luxury SUV in a white-dominated neighborhood, Ayanna had learned long ago that sometimes just existing was considered suspicious. When she pulled over and rolled her window halfway, she was met not with a question, but with a demand. Step out of the vehicle. Confused and wary, she asked why. The white officer snarled, "Step out, now. You match a description." Moments later, 3 more squad cars boxed her in. Her heart pounded not with fear, but fury. She could feel Shadow and Viper bristle behind her. She calmly informed the officers she was a veteran and had military-trained dogs in the car, asking if she could reach for her ID slowly. Instead of listening, they began yelling conflicting orders. One officer, face red and spitting, screamed, "Don't move or we'll shoot." Ayanna froze, not from fear, but calculation. Her hand hovered near her ID, her other on her seatbelt. One officer unholstered his weapon. Another had a taser pointed at her window. A bystander had begun filming from a distance, unsure whether they were about to capture another tragedy or another moment of viral injustice. And then it happened. Viper let out a growl so deep and forceful, the air changed. The officers backed a step without realizing it. Ayanna, voice calm and commanding, said loudly enough for the cameras and cops, "I am a decorated veteran. These are certified military dogs. If you breach my door, they will treat you as a hostile threat. Stand down." The lead officer ignored her and barked, "Open that door now." The moment his hand even twitched toward the handle, Shadow launched into a full alert bark, a thunderous sound that made the officers stagger back. The tension cracked when the bystander shouted, "Yo, she said she's military. Y'all about to get yourselves sued or bitten or worse." That's when one officer, not white, but new and clearly uncomfortable, whispered something to the sergeant, who finally backed off and radioed something in. Seconds later, an SUV with government plates pulled up the local VA commander, who recognized Ayanna immediately and ran to her window, yelling at the cops, "Stand down. That's Captain Brooks, you're all making a big mistake." With a shocked silence falling over the squad, the commander helped Ayanna out of the car, saluted her, and turned to the officers with a rage even hotter than hers. "You drew weapons on a national hero," he spat, and ordered internal affairs be notified immediately. Ayanna stood there, breathing slowly, while Shadow and Viper returned to a calm sit on command, never breaking their stare with the nearest officer. What was meant to be another shameful incident turned into an unmasking of deep racism. But that was just the beginning. As Ayanna filed complaints and her story made national news, her social media exploded with support, especially from veterans, civil rights lawyers, and dog trainers worldwide. A famous YouTuber covering police misconduct offered to feature her story in a viral mini-documentary, while the original bystander's video went viral overnight. Racist cops try to pull veteran. From car military dogs say nitrogen monoxide. But behind the scenes, Ayanna began getting threats. Anonymous calls, emails saying, "You made us look bad, you'll pay." Someone slashed her tires. One day, she found a dead rabbit tossed onto her porch, its blood-spelling traitor. That's when Ayanna switched from passive resistance to tactical defense. She set up surveillance, fortified her home, and reached out to her military contacts. What they discovered was jaw-dropping: a network of white supremacist sympathizers embedded in local law enforcement, who had been monitoring black residents, intimidating those who stepped out of line, and especially targeting veterans, who they believed betrayed their own race by supporting equality. Ayanna took the evidence straight to a federal investigator, who at first doubted her until Shadow led her straight to a buried folder in her backyard the very next day, left there by someone trying to silence her. Inside were photos, plans, and one chilling note: "We're watching. Don't bark unless you're ready to bite." With her every move now a risk, Ayanna decided to do something unthinkable. She ran for local sheriff. A black woman, military vet, with 2 famous dogs, challenging the entire corrupt system. The media devoured it. Her opponents mocked her, calling her a dog lady and a token. But at every debate, Ayanna remained calm, speaking truth with spine. She exposed racist incidents, brought up federal data, and used her viral story as a platform. The officers who once tried to pull her out were now suspended under investigation. The officer who had first drawn his weapon was fired after another video leaked of him harassing a Latino teenager. Ayanna's campaign slogan, "Justice doesn't bark, it bites back." Election night came with national attention. Ayanna, standing beside Shadow and Viper, waited as results rolled in. The precinct was surrounded not by angry mobs, but reporters, military vets, and local citizens in solidarity. And then, at 11:47 p.m., it was announced Captain Ayanna Brooks had won in a landslide. The first black female sheriff in county history. Her first order of business: dismantled the Good Old Boys network embedded in the system. She rehired a wrongfully terminated black officer who had once spoken out and was silenced. She started a program training officers in de-escalation and empathy, using retired military K-9 units. Her second in command, a former Marine who had once been racially profiled and now led a reform team. Ayanna didn't just change a department, she ignited a national movement. Her dogs, now symbolic icons, were featured on Time magazine beside her with the headline, "The Woman Who Didn't Flinch." But she never did it for fame. It was always about justice, always about standing your ground, not with hate, but honor. And when she looked at Shadow and Viper curled by her feet at night, she knew sometimes the loudest statement isn't a shout. It's a growl that makes evil freeze in its tracks. Subscribe now for more real stories that shake the world, because the next time injustice snarls, you might be the one holding the leash.